We just listened to Sri Suresh Prabhuji, who was the chief guest for the event. And we have another young achiever with us today, Mr. Sahil Nair, who is the Senior Associate Director with KPMG in India. An astute professional in the human capital domain, Mr. Nair is extremely passionate about creating possibilities by working his way through relationships and human psychology. He addresses their human capital challenges and provides end-to-end employee lifecycle solutions. Employer branding, culture, and capability are his forte. An avid reader, teaching is his passion. On weekdays, you would either find him at a B school sharing his perspectives with budding talent, unwinding over some contemporary thought leadership, or finding humans within human beings. He has impacted over 10,000 lives through one-to-one sessions, guest lectures, being a moderator and panelist at various IIMs, IITs, and other educational institutes. At leisure, he explores and traverses treacherous roads over various genres of music. He truly believes you really get what you got when others get what you got. So, with these words, I invite over Sri Sahil Nairji, who's the keynote speaker, to deliver his address and enlighten the audience and the people with his kind words. Over to you, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. In fact, it is just so difficult to come and talk after Suresh Prabhu. I think he is someone who we all admire, who we all look up to for the wonderful work that he's been doing for the country. But as they say, who likes it easy? So मित्रों, अगर आप मेरे को सुन रहे हो, we're in the world of Zoom. किसको चुनौती अच्छी नहीं लगती? I'm asking each one of you, why don't you fire on the chat and tell me, Suresh Prabhu was fantastic. Of course, it's difficult talking after him, but who likes it easy anyways? We're going to be doing a very interactive session, and I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes with you. And as you look at my background, my virtual background, I'm sure each one of you are wondering, what is this virtual background doing? We're discussing AI, and Suresh spoke so beautifully about artificial intelligence, human resources, 2030, issues, challenges, culture, so many aspects Suresh spoke about. And Sahil has a virtual background that talks about the world's highest post office in India. Ladies and gentlemen, come on to the chat and let's make this session very, very interactive. I want to ask you, because हमारे पास exactly 20 minutes हैं, and in these 20 minutes, I want to leave you with 10 PowerPoints. The first power in my first point is to say, why this virtual background? Whatever are your ideas, thoughts, why don't you put it onto the chat and I'll try and read it alongside as I keep interacting with you. Why this virtual background? Let's move to bullet point number 2. What is the claim to fame for this post office? We're talking about AI, we're talking about human resources, we're talking about 2030, ladies and gentlemen. Let's walk down in a time machine and let's ask ourselves something that was India's pride, India Post, having a wonderful board on the thing to say the world's highest post office, their claim to fame, and what would happen in 2030. When was the last time you actually went and wrote a postcard to someone? When was the last time, forget a postcard, even a letter to someone? I guess today we moved from email to Gmail to WhatsApp to moving to various medias and saying, oh, WhatsApp security, let me move to something else because Telegram is much better. And therefore, when you look at this whole concept of the way the world is changing, not just decade by decade, but 5 years by 5 years, not just government 5-year plans, but even year by year, let alone year by year. The last 1 year has shown us that the world has really been VUCA in its truest form, just so volatile, uncertain, complex, and of course, ambiguous. Look at the claim to fame for this post office. Will this post office even exist in 2030? Will you even write a letter to someone who sits or stays in Hikim, which is in Himachal Pradesh and which is India's world's highest post office. Will that claim to fame for that post office even exist? And if it won't, you and I, as human beings who have the ability to build skills, who have the ability to, as enterprising students who will be entering the workforce, what is going to be your differentiator? And that is something that you need to sit and ponder on and reflect as point number 2 today. Very quickly, moving to point number 3. Of course, tech has taken on HR, but the reality is, has HR taken on emotions? Because while Suresh spoke about the fact that yes, the machine has got intelligent, and of course, nature gave birth to man. And when I say man, I refer to all genders included. Nature gave birth to man. Man gave birth to machine. But the reality is, like Mark Zuckerberg said, when two machines spoke to each other in a language that man didn't understand, didn't man get insecure? And if man got insecure, what did he do? He just stopped both the machines from talking to each other because he said, my God, this is the real monster in the room. And having said that, if tech is becoming intelligent, if artificial intelligence will replace natural stupidity, the reality that we all need to answer is, will human resources understand the human even better? And in the process of understanding the human even better, will we be able to bring emotions center stage? Will we keep running after business and running after traffic and running after construction and development and subways and monorails and wonderful coastal roads? Or will we find the balance which nature is knocking on our door every day to say, this is not normal? And if this is not normal, what is normal? Are we able to identify, ladies and gentlemen, what is normal? Let me take you a little bit back in time. In fact, even the time when I wasn't born, but I had heard of stories, and I'm sure a couple of senior people on this call would typically relate to this. Every India post office had something known as an employment exchange, where you would make a one-page CV. You would actually handwrite it. At that time, of course, they were typewriters. I don't know how many of you students even know what a typewriter is, but they were typewriters, and you would type a CV out and you would give it to the post office, which was an employment exchange. Let me fast forward very quickly because I know we're all millennials on this call. From an employment exchange at a post office, moving to a world of CVs, moving to a world of network, and moving to a world where today people love making video CVs. Ladies and gentlemen, 2030, let's ask the difficult question. Will there even be a CV? Will people be interviewed without a CV? Of course, LinkedIn is all pervasive. Has LinkedIn substituted what we had as a traditional CV? Will you as students passing out, not now, but 2030, even have a CV? And if you're not going to have a CV, what's going to replace the CV? Because fundamentally, we're not going to be looking into the past. We're going to be looking into the future. And that brings me to my 5th point. And I'm going to slowly and move very fast because I'm conscious of time and I want all my points to get covered. Ladies and gentlemen, each one of you are aware that the finance spectrum has what they call the CIBIL score. You want to take a loan, you have to have a good CIBIL score rating. I'm proposing today in front of this wonderful audience, why not have a CIBIL score for human beings? You have a CIBIL score for your credit worthiness. You have a CIBIL score for how many credit card defaults and whether you should be given a loan or not. As candidates, shouldn't corporate India have a CIBIL score for every person applying? And just imagine, be it your social media footprint, be it your past employers, be it your background verification checks, be it integrity issues, be it reasons why you've left. If, like we've done the entire Aadhaar project, if we had to have a CIBIL score for talent in India, just imagine, you'll be having a workplace where India can be a front runner, and then you take this to the globe, but India leads by example, and therefore a Sybil score for human beings. Of course, the last couple of years, point number 6, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard about social media footprint. Of course, many organizations track your social media to see what kind of behavior, what kind of traits, will this person be a good fit? But let's move into the future, because we're talking 2030. From social media footprint, can we move to social impact? Apart from all the good things that you do, how are you solving for world problems? How are you understanding what's going to hit us way outside of your curriculum and going on to say, okay, this is what I understand, this is what I have been taught, but more importantly, this is exactly what the world is going to get hit by, and I am ideating, innovating in my innovation labs, in my college, working from home to solve for future problems. Point number 7, do we hire for past performance, or will we hire for potential and future value add? I'm a firm believer of the fact that we will and we are slowly and slowly as human resources moving away from laurels of the past. You may have been fantastic in your 10th standard. You may have got a 99 in your 12th. In your graduation, you may be a rock star. In your MBA, you may stand first and get a gold medal. But the reality is, you and I are going to be as good as our last project. You and I are going to be as good as the last session that I delivered today. You and I are going to be as good as the last day at work. And therefore, how do we move from a retrospective view to a prospective view, from a view on performance to a view on potential? And while potential may be a very, very hazy word, and many of us may grapple with the fact of how do we measure potential, I think what's going to be paramount is we need to fundamentally move from performance to potential, which is point number 8 for you. In the process of doing this, let me fast forward to point number 9. In this world where 1 minute we're all together having a great conference, I personally know of someone on this call who is putting up a very brave face and she's holding the entire seminar together. But on her personal side, she's grappling with a major, major issue. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not easy. It's not easy to say, I have a personal problem. I have a family member who's got badly impacted, but I'm going to stand on this Zoom call with my video on, with a smile on my face, because that is my responsibility. It is not easy. And I don't need to take names on this call, but people who know, they do know. And the reality is, as human resources, how do we bring the emotion? How do we bring the human back? Are we just going crazy about achieving targets and numbers? Or are we also understanding that we are in a phase where, of course, we will have technology that will tell us about mood checks. Of course, we will have moodometers. Of course, we will have body checks in terms of what time, what body clock, what time, who works best. We will also align work basis the strength of people. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, are we able to connect with the person behind the screen? And if you're not able to connect with the person behind the screen, I am asking all of us this question today. What is the difference between a human and a machine? What is the difference between a human and a machine? And as I have the last couple of minutes before I wrap up, point number 10 for each one of you. We may have spent time in the past, but I think the future is going to be predictive. The future is going to look at analytics, data, storytelling, and storyboarding. And in the process of getting this analytics in place, कब, कहाँ और कैसे, ये आपको 3 के बहुत अच्छे से समझने पड़ेंगे. कब, कहाँ और कैसे, because that is what will define the 3 J's in the way in which you operate: Jazba, Junoon, and Josh. And I wish each one of you and all the students and all the faculties and all the international delegates and all the corporate resource persons who joined in today for this keynote all the very best. Please do take good care of yourself. We're in very difficult times, and I would thank the Institute for organizing a session like this, more importantly for inviting me. I really had a great time being here. I don't know whether we have time for Q&A or not, or whether it's part of the format, but I really enjoyed. I don't know whether in 2030, I'm going to be an HR professional or a cabinet minister. I don't know, Suresh Prabhu has moved on. But on a lighter note, I'm just saying the future is uncertain. You have today with you. Don't crib, don't cry, don't let it go waste. Make the most of it. Stay safe, stay secure, be happy, spread happiness. Thank you so much.